you're not empathetic or not, you can learn to be empathetic. It is a muscle that you can, well, it's like a muscle that you can build like everything else if you practice. This is possible, and you can start wherever you want. And I give you the entire blueprint in the book, Spark the Heart, Engineering Empathy in Your Organization.
Insurance dudes are on a mission to escape being handcuffed by our agencies.
How? By uncovering the secrets to creating a predictable, consistent, and profitable agency sales machine.
I am Craig Pretzinger.
I am Jason Feldman.
We are agents.
We are insurance dudes.
I would say, I think that I think it's the one thing that can be passed over. Like with all the worries of a business owner and, everything that we think about, that we think like, oh, we need to handle the things that are on fire right now. Mm-hmm. Like the mad client, the bills, this person called out sick. But so it's so easy to like, as far as like the, empathy part and actually talking to people. And like, it seems like it's not worth the time, right? Mm-hmm. It's like, oh my gosh, there's so many things. I think that, I think people just need to realize that like all the things that you think that you're worrying about actually will get better if you spend the time on the things that you think don't matter. So, and I would say one story I have is like my wife was, dude, she's going to, thank God.
She's not going to hear this.
No, she hates this. So she worked as a Starbucks manager when she was young, and actually right across the street from here. And she had a ton of employees. So this was, 20 years ago. And it was, with back then we were less empathetic, as a society, let's say, so it's like, don't show up to work, then you're blah, blah, blah. It's like just rule based. Well, when I started scaling my insurance agency, I was spending a lot of time on the phone with like a sales agent that was crying about something, or like, you know what I mean? It was like a lot of conversations. She's like, you're like a therapist. What are you doing? Like, you shouldn't do that. You should just fire them if they're going to be like that. It's like, oh, but like, well, some of the stuff that I took it a little far of the conversations of maybe, I don't know. I'm just saying.
Were you operating like a therapist completely outside your licensure a little bit?
A little bit, maybe a little bit. I mean, I had a lot.
Sometimes it's what it takes, like
that's the thing. And that was the realization, was that is what it takes. And sometimes that person does need a little help that's maybe outside of work a little bit. You got to draw your own personal boundaries, I guess. But dude, like those conversations were so important. Mm-hmm. What were you going to say, Greg?
Well, just like those situations where you make a difference and you help somebody in that same way, like
what it's all about.
When it comes to down the line, when the other person is trashing you and trying to do something wrong, they're like, right? They got your back.
100%.
Yeah. You build an army of people that have your back, and you've got a lot more protection than just going by, you're late by 1 minute. Get out of here.
Yeah.
Right. Like,
right.
Dude, people. Yeah.
I've got one tool I want to leave with your listeners. So let me know when's the best time to share that, because I want people to try just one little thing.
Love it. I would love to hear it.
Yeah, just do it. Let's go for it.
So I want them to pick someone, their oldest customers,
like oldest in age or oldest in tenure?
Oldest in age.
Okay.
And I want them to do a ride along and act as if the person got stopped by the police. Let's assume this is car insurance, auto insurance.
Yeah.
And I want you to help them try to find their insurance card on their phone. And then after you experience that, what do you think you need to change about your process to be able to help them?
And that's empathy, right?
Putting
yourself in their shoes.
That's correct. Because one of the reasons why I started what I call that the empathy walk. And you can redirect it to whatever you need it to be, whatever, customers you think struggle the most, but go and spend a day in their life so you can get a chance to see. some of our clients are lawyers and judges. And so we went to this huge conference, mostly for judges. Well, use all your biases. How old do you think the people are? They're mostly judges.
50.
Oops.
70.
Yeah, 67.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
So we were after
He's young, Jason. See?
to be a judge, right? So these are mostly judges.
Wow.
So we get to after I give my keynote, and we've got our booth set up, and we didn't bring any paper. We just got a QR code on the thing. Some of them had flip phones. I know. And I have some strong beliefs about how in the world did you still have a flip phone in 2023?
Right. It's like a fax machine.
And I'm 1000% correct in my opinions. And if I'm going to have judges as clients, how effective am I?
Ineffective.
100%.
Because when I'm being empathetic, first of all, if you're a judge, you are thinking that you have arrived. Nobody's going to tell you what to do in terms of what phone's going to work or not. Number two, oftentimes they're in spaces where they can't have cameras, depending on what kind of courthouse they work in. Number three, do I want them to get the book or not? And if I do, that flip phone is not scanning a QR code. And so I could easily have brought some books there that they could pay for right there. And I just didn't, because I was not thinking about what their needs were. I was thinking about mine.
I love that perspective of just flipping it. So how many times do we as the average human like tend to go, I can't believe they blah, 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 blank, right?
Ego.
When it's like, it's the opposite. I can't believe why didn't I expect that? Like, because I didn't think about,
Because when I thought about it, I'm like, of course they don't have relevant technology. We've seen this play out on television in a few like real life situations. And I can choose to be right, or I can choose to be effective.
Ooh.
Being right is insufficient for being effective.
That's Craig's favorite.
Not even
my favorite line.
It's not even necessary.
I say to my wife all the time. It's her favorite line that I say.
I love talking points.
Yeah. So I don't say it when I'm right, only when I'm wrong. Then I say being right is insufficient for being effective.
Yeah.
And then she goes, shut up, get out of here.
And it's like, I don't want to carry inventory. I don't want to go to a conference with all these books and then have to come back with them. But the thing is, now that I've designed for the neediest, I'm actually selling more books. The QR code people have what they need. The people who don't have that get what they need. It's a win-win.
Right.
It's sales
just
101.
You sell them what they want and then give them what they need. And that's like, you got to give them that thing. Yeah.
It's funny. I was thinking about what you were saying with the empathetic part towards our clients. And I would say as a whole, insurance agents are like super empathetic of their clients, but not their staff.
Oh my gosh. So this is good to know. So schools are like that.
What do you mean?
Principals are very empathetic towards the children. The teachers and staff, not so much. And so this is good. This is good to know, because what that looks like is that leaders have to remember that how you treat your people is how they treat your people.
Yeah.
100%.
I will die on that hill. Like, if you think that you can berate people and then they're going to show up in beautiful ways for your clients, I got some beachfront property to sell you right here in Missouri.
Yeah. A really good buddy of mine actually I've known since kindergarten, but he worked with Tony Robbins for a long time. And I just lost my train of thought. What the heck?
Beachfront property.
No, that's what threw me off.
I thought that's what got you.
Your leaders need to pour into their people in order for their people to.
Yeah. I'm sorry. He would always start the thing, like when he did a talk, he'd say, "Who is your number one client?" And it's it's a trick question, because the number one client is your staff. That's your number one client, because if you don't treat them well, your clients aren't going to be treated well. And so, and it is coming from that place of empathy, right? You have to understand them. You have to understand what drives them, what makes them tick. It's not money usually. And
No,
so
if you pay decent, it's not money.
yeah, if it was money, then they would have a business, because they would see that that's the way to get to the level of just not, this fixed amount.
Mhm.
So yeah.
And then I think on the other side of that, it's less empathy for their team, more empathy for their current clients, and less empathy for the market. Like as in, the market's changed a lot since the old day of the way things were done. So a lot of agents are very hands-on and stuff, but to your point, showing them how to do the mobile app, they're like, screw the mobile thing. Like they're not moving along with that. So they're not being so empathetic with the changing climate of what's going on in the marketplace,
Yeah. And maybe it's not my responsibility to teach somebody something, but again, do you want to be right or do you want to be effective?
That's it.
Absolutely taught people how to use video devices. I've taught people how to use the QR code. Is that my job? Absolutely not. But when I ask questions like, hey, do you want to do video chat with your grandchild?
Boom.
You told me you had a grandchild. Did you want to see your grandchild every day? That's a good reason to get a smartphone.
Yeah.
And I think that converted a couple judges right then to, oh yeah, I didn't think about that,
Yeah. Love it.
And they can call you up on video. And you can talk all the time.
FaceTime.
And that flip phone won't let you do that.
No. Although I did have some conversations with my folks on FaceTime, and it did not work very well. They couldn't figure it.
Were they not?
No, push the. They're like, we can't see you, and I'm like, I don't know. I can see you. I don't know what the hell's going on here.
You got to show them you got to show them when you're with them next.
I wasn't being empathetic.
Well, I mean, it can be kind of frustrating because it's so second nature to us,
Right?
And that if nobody listens to anything else I say, that's what it is. That's when we need to lean into empathy even more. When you're like, I'm so surprised. That's your indication that you don't have enough proximity to even be able to be effective with that person. So how can you do a better job of getting into their shoes?
Interesting.
I love
so
it.
If you become frustrated or surprised by the thing they have, instead of going, get out of here, go, oh,
Get close.
Is the opportunity. The opportunity has come.
That's what I call it. Get close.
Get close.
And breathe, okay? Because pressure will go up.
What are some things as a business owner, insurance agent, whatever, human, what are some things that would help us on this journey? Just some exercises that I love the one that you just gave of, helping.
The empathy walk is my favorite one. My second favorite one is called empathetic listening. So it sounds like that both of you are skilled in this, but sometimes we listen not to solve the problem. Sometimes we listen just because the person needs to talk.
I'm working on that.
Yeah, my wife would say,
this is in process right now.
The reason for listening empathetically is to benefit the speaker, not the listener. And sometimes, especially when somebody's views are drastically different from mine, I lean solidly into empathetic listening.
How?
I know. Well, you know how you practice is watch a news station that you don't typically watch.
I don't watch any of them.
So have fun. Watch some news.
Any of it.
Give yourself 2 minutes. You don't have to do it for a long time, but listen. Again, you're not judging what's being said. You're just saying, me sitting here listening right now is benefiting the person who's talking. And I suggest doing it in those difficult points, because then it's a lot easier when you're doing it for somebody on your staff, when you've done it in the hardest ways.
Yeah.
I love that. That's so cool.
Those are my two favorite exercises. But we just finished our Empathy 14, and it's something you can do anytime you want. But every August 1st, I do 14 days worth of real simple exercises, publicly, with anybody who follows me on any of my social channels.
Wow,
and so there's these really, you just missed it. But you can do it anytime. You don't need to be with me to do it. But that's just when I do it publicly. And there's simple things like, imagine that you have a specific situation and what challenges would that cause you if you were trying to get a job, as an example. So you know how people say, oh, there's all these places to work. How are people out here with signs on the street? Well, let me take your ID, your address, your car. Now apply for a job, please.
And all your money and your clothes.
And you smell because you can only shower in the McDonald's.
And you're really drunk.
Sink. And it's just like, okay, what does that look like to have to deal with that situation? And I don't expect anybody ever to be charitable if they don't want to be. And when you're judging, you're not helping.
Totally. That is such a good perspective because it's so hard to be around. It's funny. We all judge to some extent. Like there's no getting around that.
Long you make judgments. Yeah.
But like it's so many times like you get in, like when I will get judgy, it's like I'm doing the thing that I don't like. You know what I mean? It's like, it's like I'm doing the thing I'm complaining about.
Yes. Like, you know what was hardest for me when I first started like really paying attention to empathy is I would notice these naturally empathetic people. Because remember, I'm not naturally empathetic. Who would be so judgmental of the rest of us? Like, how could you not consider? And I'm like, what? So then I start judging them for judging us. You see? It's like this horrible cycle.
It's just an endless cycle.
And somebody's got to stop it. And so I'm saying, hey, my name is Nicole, the honorary insurance student, and I'm going first. And I'm just inviting a whole bunch of people to join me.
Well, it's like you have to set aside the ego, get the awareness that it's even happening, because most folks don't even realize that it's happening or that it exists or that this is a thing, right? And then, I'm aware. Now I can be empathetic. I'll get results.
Yeah. And it's going to take practice. You know, in this microwave society, people are like, we're going to do this like 3 weeks and then I got it. I've been working on this for a really long time, actively since 2014. And I will say that now people can't tell the difference. Like I'll just be in some random grocery store line and somebody will start pouring their heart out to me. And I used to say, do I have something printed on my forehead that says, tell me about your problems? But someone told me once, they said, it's in the eyes. People can tell that you care about what they have to say. So I wear sunglasses. No, just kidding.
And that works.
That works. It keeps it down.
Oh, it's funny. So I have to tell you something funny before we wrap this up. Is that
I love a joke.
It's so funny that you, like when I first started in this insurance agency, we had a couple clients that were engineers. And it got to a point when we were selling, it's like when you get an engineer, it is so hard to sell.
I'm going to judge in this case.
It's all numbers, it's all facts, and like it's like you try to laugh, try to like, nope. It's like numbers, facts, blah blah blah. So like
send me the policy jacket. I'm going to read it. You're like, I want to know if I haven't read it. Nobody reads that. We use it for kindling. Come on.
Yeah, kindling.
Just kidding.
But it's so funny because especially with our staff and stuff, the engineers are the toughies. They're gonna find out because they don't care if you care about them, but they care about if you know all the information on the policy and like you went through it for them. That's how you're empathetic to an engineer. I know. So see, you can't win.
Listen, I'm telling you, I resemble those comments. And it's like, who's the person who knows everything that their car manual says? Like, I know all these weird things my phone does. It's like, I don't. But
it's so funny. Like, okay, so the agent, like, full circle, right? Back to the beginning. Your insurance agent was being empathetic, but not empathetic to
me. That's
to you.
She was showing up in the way that she valued.
Right.
Instead of understanding who I was at that moment and giving me what I needed.
She was being nice, not empathetic. I've learned so much.
But she was genuinely nice, though. So that's and I was
it wasn't fake nice.
And I was like, this is fake nice. There's no way. There's
because
no way.
You were not being nice.
No.
Because you got the facts. You learned that she went through your social media. You listed out all the stuff. Like if she would have came to you, like, this is all the stuff I've done. Now presented it to you, you'd have been like, all right, you did your
research.
Yeah.
Check.
Not sure why, but okay.
That's so good.
Yeah. That's a very astute point. So she did pivot a little bit, right? Like she let me know she was credible. So
I don't know how she has the time to stalk all the clients like that.
Maybe she doesn't. I don't know that she does. Right? Like maybe she doesn't. Maybe she does. It's genuinely
only the famous ones.
Leadership stuff. Oh, the ones that show up on the insurance dudes.
Yeah, the most famous.
Most famous.
Awesome. What's one thing that you want everyone to know before you leave? And then I want to know how people can get a hold of you and
where they can buy the book, everything. All the books and all that.
You're not empathetic or not. You can learn to be empathetic. It is a muscle that you can, it's like a muscle that you can build like everything else if you practice. This is possible and you can start wherever you want. And I give you the entire blueprint in the book, Spark the Heart, Engineering Empathy in Your Organization. It's funny. I make a lot of fun of myself. I tell you how I get it wrong, but they're actionable tools for how to build empathy in yourself and in your leadership team if your team is that large. And you can find out anything about the book or me at drnicoleprice.com. And that's my same name for all my social handles. Dr. Nicole.
Is it Dr. DR or Doctor spelled out?
Who would spell it out? What kind of pathology makes a person? I'm just kidding.
I mean, what if? I'm just trying to be empathetic and put myself in the shoes of the listeners.
Oh, so funny thing. My son is an entrepreneur and his business is Dr. Pause spelled out.
Oh, no way. And he said, who would shorten it? It looks so unprofessional.
Oh, you got to tell him about this.
I know. But while it was coming out of my mouth, I'm like, oh gosh, I just said something bad about my own child.
No, you got to say, well, you know what? You know who's empathetic to you? This old insurance guy I talked to today.
That's right.
Who was curious
Very
and
old.
Questions.
I do have one more question.
What is it? I love answering.
Because you're talking about practice and then like gaining, using that muscle memory and all that. Like one of the things that's been very helpful for me is meditation. And they, it's referred to as a practice, right? Because you don't just do it and then you're done. And I notice when I don't, I'm a little more scattered. The ADHD gets worse, right? Like if I don't, I must meditate. And that's for me because, the thoughts still keep coming, right? And the whole point is to not like push them out, but to notice them and not judge them and just kind of let them float away. And so for me, it's been effective and interesting. I think that it's also been helpful for empathy because it does help kind of sanitize the amount of judgment that comes out of this thing, right?
Listen, if you are scattered and unfocused in general, it's going to be hard for you to be empathetic to yourself, which will also make it hard to be empathetic to other people. One of the 14 days is mindfulness. Practicing. You don't have to do the whole transcendental meditation class if you don't want to, but just a moment of silence to just focus the mind is helpful.
Even 10 seconds, doesn't matter.
Some breathing.
Yeah. You want to know what oil and water is?
What?
It's an engineer with somebody with ADHD. Like,
no, but we're having it's like a perfect salad.
No, I say that because ADHD. My wife is very much an engineer. Like on the DISC profile, she's got 0 I.
Oh,
so and I'm like 99 I.
99.
So talk about like empathy. Like we're having to learn. Well, we've been together for 20 years. We're still learning about how she thinks I do all this wacky stuff because I don't think about it. Like I'm not putting enough time into it. Right. But like, that's the way the ADHD brain works. And then like, I think about the way that she does stuff is like, dude, you're so cold by the way you come off. You know what I mean? It's and it's just so funny. Like,
is she a high C?
Oh yeah.
His wife and my wife have basically the exact same profiles, DISC profiles, and Jason and I basically have the exact same DISC profile. So it's very interesting, and we have basically the same relationships with our.
It's
that's
tough.
Funny. That's funny. I'm DI, almost equal.
Yeah,
and then S, and then like hardly any C.
No C. Negative 50 on C.
Yeah, so I'm kind of not like other engineers in that way. My C is not.
Yeah. That is interesting.
That is interesting. I would expect it to be a high SC.
That's why you're not in. Are you still doing engineering?
Oh no, not at all.
Yeah. So see,
Oh no.
When I started leading engineers, I realized my brain didn't work exactly like
Right.
engineers.
See, you just have a very smart brain, so you went to engineering, but
I
then
think-
you're like, I can't deal with this bullshit.
Yeah, it's the difference between being able to do something and
Right.
loving to do something. And
Yeah,
I was
100%.
able to do that. I didn't love it. And a lot of my ego was caught up in, hey, I'm an engineer or whatever.
Yeah.
And you see, I haven't let it go. Like engineering empathy here. That's what we're doing.
Isn't
It's
it
okay.
funny?
It's okay.
What-
You can do that.
It's so funny what the ego holds on to. It's like so self-defeating.
Oh,
It's so many. Oh,
And it's the wolf in sheep's clothing too, because it's telling you that it's protecting you, but it's not.
it's not.
It's harming you.
Yeah. I think that's
This
why
is for your own good.
I think that's why I tell people about it, right? Like, let me just tell you.
yeah.
But the engineering stories about lacking empathy, I think they're hilarious, and would love to hear from folks if they think they're hilarious too. Because today I can't even imagine that I used to show up in those ways.
Yeah. I
Well,
think
we all grow.
I have a heart for it because again, my wife is more like that, and we're two ends of the spectrum. So it's like it's oil and water, and it's just fun. Like everybody takes everybody's actions completely incorrectly. You know what I mean? Like have no idea where each other's coming from. So you do need to practice empathy.
Yeah.
Like it does help. It helps.
It does help, and sometimes I can't prove it to you. And that's okay. Some people learn pleasantly by reading a book or following somebody on social media. And there are other people like me who had to learn painfully going through a major grief event. But I do think we all learn. We just get to choose how.
Yeah.
Yeah. Great point. Well, Dr. Nicole, this was awesome. Thank you so much. Everybody grab Spark the Heart. And I love Craig's question. Where can you get it? On the internet. Just Googly it. Just
Google it. It's on
Can I get there on my flip phone?
You can call me and I'll you can give me your address. And
I don't have a flip phone. I got it.
But if you got a regular phone, I shouldn't say, look at that, regular. You see what I just did there? I
Yeah.
want you to get it on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Target.com, anywhere books are sold.
Awesome.
Target. They still have Target? I
Target.
thought, wow, I haven't been there in a long time.
You're probably saving money then.
No. It's the after COVID, like I haven't gone to a lot of stores anymore.
Everything
Why?
is delivered because
Everything
you're
gets
connected
delivered.
with people.
Nah, I don't like them.
You want to be
I'm
in the
just good
grocery store line with them telling you about their life stories like me.
Let's preface this with Craig's been all over the world in the last year and barely at work. So he's getting out there.
He's not working.
He's getting out there.
I was in Portugal for a month and then I was in Hawaii for a few weeks. So
Oh, not a shame there. It's
not Maui though. Not
Oh.
Maui. Those poor people. It's
I
awful.
know the pictures are awful.
It's awful.
Dude.
I
that
was
is
on the waves
unreal.
that were part of that whole thing, but I was on Kauai, so we
Okay.
missed it, luckily. But we got the waves, and I almost died from that. So
All right. Well,
You
Why
guys
do
are
we have
so
to close, why do
empathetic.
we have to
Thank
close
you.
it like that?
I know
I know.
it's a sad way to close it. Disc profile eyes do not like to close on a sad note. So we
No.
got
Right, I don't know where
I
that came
can't-
from.
That's an
I'm
open.
sorry.
Now we have an open loop.
Open
We
loop.
gotta close. All right. Dr. Nicole, thank you so much. It's been a pleasure. It's a subject that I think everybody needs to think more about.
All right.
So-
Thanks for having me.
Thank you.
Thank you.